Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
He was making fun of
their accent. Yeah, so I took him aside. I told him, have respect for my family and friends. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so we went back and finished taking the order.
See, I would have been done at that point. In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Hannah Tran believes that her food was tampered with and her party was discriminated against at a restaurant that identified their race on their receipt. Ms. Tran is suing Jenny Huff in the amount of $406. Ms. Huff admits the receipt identifier was inappropriate, but there was no wrongdoing by cooks or other restaurant staff.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Third, get up at Thomas. The thing that's interesting about America's court is even when I look inside the courtroom right now, we all represent America. I'm looking at different races, different genders, Deputy Thomas and I. And when I read this case, I had some concerns. Ms. Tran, tell me your story.
Yes, Your Honor. I am here today to sue Ms. Huff for $406 on an experience, a horrible experience at her Korean barbecue restaurant. Ms.
Huff, you are actually the owner of a Korean barbecue establishment.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm the owner and the manager.
Okay. And the issue that you had was you frequented on this one occasion this establishment.
That's correct. I brought 10 of my friends and family from abroad to come eat at her restaurant.
Yes.
I looked it up, and it looked like they have a private room. But our experience there, when we got there, we had reservations 2 weeks in advance, and I made a phone call a day before. When we got there, we had to wait 20, 30 minutes just to be seated in this private room. So when we were seated...
In the private room?
Yes, there was a private
Ms. Huff, if they had already made reservations, any particular reason why? Was there a party running late? What happened?
Normally, it's a grill where the patrons would cook their own food and then
Sure.
bring it to their tables. But we do have one room off to the side that is sort of a private room for
More
when people
intimate
want
for
that.
a larger party.
Correct. And Ms. Tran wanted to have that room for her party, so we said we would accommodate.
Okay. And any particular reason why the 20 to 30-minute wait?
There was a basketball game that night. There was a theater production. Everything got out at the same time, and we were slammed. We had a line out the door.
Was there a line out the door?
We were extremely busy.
And there were other people waiting as well, and I take it.
Yes, there were other people waiting.
Okay. All right. After the 20 to 30 minutes, you're a little annoyed because you had already made the reservation. I get that. You go into the room, and then what happens?
Okay, and the waiter, he takes her order.
Okay.
And it was a young waiter
Okay.
that took her order, but he acted like he didn't understand my friends and family.
What do you mean,
With their
didn't understand?
accents. Well, they have a heavy accent, but they knew how to speak
Now,
English.
you are, what's your background?
I'm Vietnamese, but I'm American.
Okay.
So
And the friends and family, they also were Vietnamese?
yes, from
Or
abroad.
are Vietnamese?
Yes, they're tourists.
And is it fair to say that their dialect may have been a little bit more heavy in terms of the accents?
That is correct.
Okay.
And
And the waiter was having difficulty understanding what they were
that's
trying
what I
to do.
assumed. So what I did was I followed him to each person to take their order.
Yes.
And at the time, he was snickering and laughing and saying that, one part where they're ordering shrimps, he said with an S, and he started laughing like they couldn't, saying in a plural form, fish, shrimps. And I
Like he was making fun of
their accent. Yes. So I took him aside. I told him, have respect for my family and friends. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so we went back and finished taking the order.
See, I would have been done at that point.
I was highly offended, yes. Being that.
But you're there now, and they're there. And
Yeah, and we've been touristing all day long. We were tired, didn't want to go to another place and wait. So we went ahead and took an order. When the order came, it was completely wrong.
Ms. Huff, were you there when this was taking place?
I was on site, yes, I was.
At some point, were you brought into this situation that Ms. Tran found herself in?
Yes, I was. There was a point at which first the waiter, James, came to me to tell me that he had a patron who was following him around as he was trying to take the orders and correcting everything that he was writing down, and he was getting uncomfortable because she was in his personal space. And then he came back to get me again and told me that she was very upset and screaming at him about the order, that everything was incorrect.
Ms. Tran, did you find yourself screaming at him at one point?
That's the thing. I did not scream at him, and from him, his experience, from the beginning to the end, he fabricated a lot of things.
I had two other servers tell me that she was yelling at him and putting her finger in his face.
Coming up on America's Court.
This waiter was typing into the computer when they create the check terms that are inappropriate, like racial
yes.
terms describing
On
the
this
party.
receipt, he has the customer's ching chong.
And later,
You gave Max chicken and rice.
I bet you it was jerk chicken with rice, avocado salsa, and portobello mushrooms. Am I right?
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Hannah Tran, who is suing Jenny Huff for $406.
Is it fair to say that you weren't happy?
I was not happy.
You were a little frustrated.
No,
You
mainly
had
at the
been
waiter
going
at this
out
point.
doing tourist things all day. You had a group. You were already put off that you had to wait 20 to 30 minutes. You weren't a happy camper.
I was not, but
Okay.
it's at this point I'm still, fairly wanting to have the experience still.
Okay.
Yeah. What led to actually me getting a little more irritated was when the food was brought out. Like I said, it was incorrect.
Right.
And so I did ask Ms. Huff to come out and tell her what was wrong. And she was apologetic, and she wanted to make it correct. And
Did
so
they make it right?
the second order did come in 20 minutes later, but the food was raw. The chicken and the pork was completely raw. And so I do have evidence here
I
on
would
the
like to see
picture that was
please.
taken
Yes.
on the food preparation.
Ms. Huff, what was the story with the food?
Your Honor, there was one or two of the dishes were undercooked because Ms. Tran was running around the restaurant, even to the edge where the kitchen is, to say, bring the food out now, we need the food now.
I mean, I'm looking at this. Is
And
this raw chicken?
It looks like one of the dishes was
That's how you
too
end
raw.
up getting salmonella.
Exactly, Your Honor, I agree. And I
That's-
went
no.
in and I said, we will take this off the
And this
bill.
is now the second time because the first time it was wrong.
Yes,
right?
it was the wrong dish at the
So
first
you
time.
are 0 for 2.
Yes, we had a very difficult time that evening for
All
this
right,
particular
what is
party.
This is the receipt. This is how much everything cost. Okay.
Yes.
And you gave me this to show me how much you paid.
So,
yes.
When we went ahead and paid for our meal, I went to the cash register and I told her,
I would think at this point they would have been comped.
Well, Your Honor, I have evidence on that.
I'll take a look
because
at that.
What I did
because
was
what I'm showing is this was the bill you received, right? This isn't
Exactly,
what
that's
you
the
paid.
bill.
Is this what you paid?
no, I paid that full bill. And when I asked her to,
Now, okay, you gave me a copy of something saying 10% off coupons. Why would she want that?
So what we offered was that she could combine the 10% coupons to cover 100% of the meal. So there were actually 10 of them to cover
I
the
have
entire meal, or that we would remake it for her.
no
We
desire to
tried-
go back to eat there.
Now,
We
wait a minute.
tried to please you and your party. We remade the food when you asked us to.
What
but
is this
we-
letter terminating employment?
So it turns out that this particular waiter, he was 18. We had just hired him a week before. He was still in training, but he was showing signs of inappropriate decision making.
Okay, because you
and
gave me
comments.
this and you gave me these other 2 receipts. What's the deal with these 2 receipts? These are for different people.
yes.
Right.
No, I'm talking to Ms. Huff.
What we noticed was that this waiter apparently, and I didn't realize it until the next day when 2 of my staff came to me and showed me those other receipts. This waiter was typing into the computer when they create the check terms that are inappropriate, like racial
yes.
terms describing
On
the
this
party.
receipt, he has the customer's ching chong.
Exactly, and that is why I fired him. I had to fire him the
And
next day.
did you have something?
Yes, sir. that, to me, he was targeting our group in particular. Not only
And
did
on
it,
your receipt, he put yuck Jap.
and I'm not even Japanese. It's just because
It's
we're
you're
all
Vietnamese.
Asian. Exactly.
And-
So
and
it
he's-
was very highly offensive. And so I felt like not only was the meal was horribly served, that we were targeted. Like most likely put in the order incorrectly, purposely, so that it came out the way it did.
But Your Honor, I'm a small business owner. When we took over, my brother-in-law is Korean, and he pointed me to this restaurant. We took it over less than a year ago, and we've taken it from a half of a star, basically, up into we're in the 3 to 4 star range right now.
And
So
why would I care about any of what you're
in terms
talking
of
about right
customer
now?
service? In terms of customer service and quality of food, that particular night was not a good
You didn't hear what I just
representation of
said.
what we go through.
You didn't hear
I'm
me.
sorry.
You didn't hear me.
Yes.
Why would I care about anything that you just said as it pertains to this woman?
Because we offered to remake her food. We tried our best to accommodate. Everything was either undercooked, it was
You
overcooked.
tried your best to accommodate her, and you failed miserably. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel comes down in favor of the plaintiff. I'm actually gobsmacked that you wouldn't have just settled this. This is so outrageous and so ridiculous and so offensive. 406 is your judgment. That's all.
Thank
Case
you.
closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $406.
Judge Ross was right on. My friends and family were mistreated at the restaurant, and justice was served today.
I am so disappointed with this decision, but the buck stops with me. I know the first thing I'm going to do is set up a diversity training for my employees.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Why would you feed a dog like this jerk chicken, avocado? I mean, this is spicy. This is grown-up food.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Douglas Jameson claims his ex-girlfriend's dog got sick when he was dog sitting and says the defendant should pay for the vet bills. Mr. Jameson is suing Naisha Gadsden in the amount of $1,196. Ms. Gadsden claims Mr. Jameson ignored the dog's strict diet, which is why the dog was sick. So the plaintiff should be the one to pay the bills.
We're fighting over a dog. Dog got sick.
Yes.
Who's going to pay the bill?
Naisha is.
Okay. That's why we're here. What's the dog's name?
His name is
Max.
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 Max the Great.
And how long have you had the dog?
Almost 2 years now.
2 years. Who does the dog belong to?
Me.
Okay, Miss Gadsden.
Yes.
How did Mr. Jameson end up being in possession of the dog?
I had to go away out of town on a convention, a hair convention, and
Yes. Talk to me.
I left Max with him
Because?
because I had to go away, and usually he's babysitted
No, I
Max
get that
before.
you had to go away. Why, out of all the people you left the dog with, you left?
Well,
the
we were in
dog.
a relationship before.
How long was the relationship?
About a year and a
Too
half.
long.
2 years.
Too long.
2
Too
years.
long, a year and a half.
Long 2 years.
What caused the two of you to break up?
His cheating ways.
Paranoid. She crazy. Think I'm cheating. Think she saw me kiss her coworker in the shop.
No, I did. It was a client. She was a person that was coming in the salon. She came
While
in.
you were there?
Absolutely. He thought he was hiding. He's
Extra
a
job.
wannabe player.
And did that cause the breakup?
Absolutely. It
So
was
she
over.
was to the point of being so upset, she said, we're done.
It was kind of mutual. I mean,
All
it's
right.
just the
Who
paranoia.
bought the dog?
We both did.
Under my credit.
You bought the dog on credit.
Yeah.
All right. Who made the payments on the dog?
He did.
Coming up on America's Court.
You gave Max chicken and rice.
I bet you it was jerk chicken with rice, avocado salsa, and portobello mushrooms. Am I right?
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Douglas Jameson, who is suing his ex-girlfriend Naisha Gadsden for $1,196.
Had you left the dog Max with him before?
I have.
All right. So, Mr. Jameson, you were accustomed to dealing with Max at your house.
Yes, sir.
Because you moved out of the residence.
Yes, correct.
All right. And tell me what happened that day.
That day I was in a rush. I had to hurry up and get Max to him. I didn't have time to go and get his special food that he's aware that Max usually eats.
Okay.
He has very strict
just brought the
instructions.
dog over.
I just brought the dog over with his bag.
But you had had the dog before, and she had provided the food and everything else.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You get the dog. She leaves. Take me from there.
Well, she leaves. I mean, really, she went on a trip with her old boo. I mean,
With
that's
another
what I
guy.
think. Yes.
Is that
Yes.
true?
Not at all. I had a convention, but even if that's the case, it's none of his business.
That's
We
why
weren't
you had no
together,
dog food.
but
Okay.
yeah, I had a convention.
All right. You were at a convention. All right.
Okay. So she dropped the dog off
Yes.
with no food
No
because she wanted to
food. But
spend
she's
time
already
with her
said
new
she
boo.
didn't have the food because she was running a little late.
She was meeting with her boo. That's what it
All right.
was.
She was meeting with some other guy.
Yeah.
All right.
And so, I mean, no dog food. So I gave him some chicken and rice.
All right.
That's
You
what he
gave him
liked.
chicken. You gave Max chicken and rice.
He don't need all that high maintenance food.
I can't believe it.
bottled
Sorry
water.
to cut you, Your Honor, but I bet you it was jerk chicken with rice, avocado salsa, and portobello mushrooms. Am I right? I bet you
mean,
that.
she
That's
close.
his favorite meal, so
She
I'm sure
close.
that's what he gave my dog.
She close. She close.
You gave the dog jerk chicken, and you said what else?
Rice, avocado salsa
Awesome.
with portobello mushrooms.
They're really good, Your Honor. It's really good.
And
Not for the dog.
well, why wouldn't you go get the dog food?
I mean, she don't like that high maintenance food. I mean, she get the dog bottled
You
water.
had taken care of the dog before.
Yes.
That was the dog food that she provided.
Yes.
You're not supposed to feed dogs table food.
Thank you.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
What type of dog are we talking about?
I have a niece, a small.
You
I have a
of the
picture.
dog?
I
Let me
do.
see. And it's a small dog?
Yes.
You can't serve spicy food and. And it's little. It's a
Yes.
little dog.
Look at that face, Your Honor. You know?
But why would he
And my
give
point
my...
exactly. Why would you feed a dog like this jerk chicken, avocado? I mean, this is spicy. This is grown-up food.
He liked
He
it,
just
though. I
doesn't
mean,
care. He
sticking his
doesn't care.
tongue
Well,
out.
isn't that the issue? The dog got sick.
Exactly.
And I take it that the dog needed to have some sort of flushing out of his system, right?
Yes, sir.
You have proof of that?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you think you should have to pay it?
Because I was watching the dog for her. I was looking out while she was with her boo. That's the main thing. You know?
Why do you
She
keep
won't be
saying-
responsible.
Okay.
You know?
She's moved on. And you want her to pay for this cost
Yes,
that
sir.
you don't feel you're responsible for.
No, sir. I mean,
I
I help
get
her
it.
get the dog. It's her responsibility.
Got
I'm
it.
still
Anything
paying,
else?
No, and I'm still paying for the rest of the financing for
That's
the dog.
fine.
So
Based
yeah,
on the
no.
evidence and the testimony before this court, if you think I'm going to have her pay you for feeding a tiny dog Jamaican food,
Yeah, I know it's not
you
good food.
clearly are not in your right mind. Your matter's dismissed. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I can't believe my ex is bringing me to court over a vet bill when he fed my dog table scraps.
Regardless of what my ex says, that dog does tricks for my jerk chicken.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.